Very good morning, everyone. First of all, very humbled and honored to be here, joining the TIMS, global conference on AI and IoT. Coming from, the industry in US, where I spearhead product innovations centered around conversational AI. It's quite evident to see the breadth and width of topics which was presented today earlier about the representation of authors across the world, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the role of Santa Claus for the next 25 minutes. I have about 30 minutes. So what I want to do is, as part of the keynote, I would like to provide you a deep insight about what are the unique opportunity where artificial intelligence can make a huge impact both on sustainability and sustainable development. Dr. Riza called out, how important Dubai is becoming a hub of, sustainability efforts. But, it is very heartening to hear about the tremendous impact, what is being done here. But at the same time, sustainability also is very closely interconnected with sustainable development, right? For example, we're talking about COP28 climate actions, which is happening here right now. But our climate actions also have an outcome. It could be positive or negative, right? For example, if you introduce more carbon footprints, it's going to impact your agriculture. If it's going to impact the yields of your agricultural activity, naturally the food security is going to go down, and more people are going to have less access to quality crops and so forth, right? So this for the next 25 minutes, so it's primarily about it. So here, as I said, some of the topics I would like to cover is to first give you a background on SDGs and how SDGs are very relevant to IEEE and also to engineers, why many of the folks in this room should be looking at opportunities, both from industry standpoint and academic standpoint, to drive innovations centered around solving SDGs at large. Then I would like to touch upon a few areas, few practical example of how to develop artificial intelligence technologies to solve this grander universal challenges. Then we would like to specifically see some, opportunities offered by IEEE. Specifically here, I'm wearing two hats. One is the Humanitarian Technology Board, where we also have a workshop tomorrow. But today you will get a 360-degree view of what are the global programs, how you could participate and get benefited from those. And then last but not the least, we'll also take some example real-world projects. What can we do there? So with that brief note, let's first start with SDGs. I'm pretty sure many of the folks in this room know about SDGs, but I want to set up certain jargons so that as we move through the keynote, we'll understand what is the context of what we are talking about, right? So there are three major jargons I would like to address in my keynote. One is sustainable development, humanitarian engineering, and sustainable innovation. What do you mean by that, right? So if you take holistically today across the world, right, there are patterns of problem which is common across universally, right? For example, access to clean water, access to clean energy, access to sanitation, protecting the land, the water, and so forth, right? These universal problems are applicable throughout the globe, right? So this actually are called as development challenges. But these development challenges, when you as an engineer, you put your innovation to solve them, right? And you provide the solution which is sustainable in nature, there comes the aspect of sustainable innovation. So sustainable development or sustainable challenges, when I called out during my presentation, it all refers to the universal challenges. Now coming back here, that's what UN did. UN actually, collectively came together, all the countries. They came up with a mandate to identify what are the universal challenges, how we could address them, right? That defined the sustainable development. And for each of this challenging area, they wanted to find the opportunity, because we're engineers, right? Our goal is to transform the challenges into, opportunities of innovation. That's why the SDG is all about, Sustainable Development Goal. So for example, there are 17 goals, as you can see here on the right side. And the first goal is no poverty. So today, like the metric there is, if people are living below 1.25 USD, then they classify them as poverty. Nearly more than 1 billion people live in poverty, at least based on the data collected. There could be also unsurveyed data in other parts of the world. But, the target here is to, by 2030, make sure that, we define a practical goal to solve that challenge and make a progressive improvement. Why we are doing it? Because we believe by solving these universal challenges, the 17 SDG goals, along with this 169 targets, we can actually foster a future, a sustainable future, where there is inclusivity, and we can, foster peace and prosperity for everyone. So in a nutshell, we want to build a better future by providing solutions which are scalable, which are affordable, which are relevant to the community at large. So that's about the 70 SDG. In a nutshell, you can say that this to be a blueprint, for the engineers to solve a large-scale problems. So many of these aspects I called out, right? Providing affordable healthcare access, tackling the energy crisis. There have been many interesting papers I can see actually. People talk about using AI for healthcare. We will touch upon them as part of the presentation. But you can see here one thing that stands common across the board here. These problems is what represents the humanitarian space. And people call it as humanitarian engineering. What do you mean by that, right? Humanitarian engineering, it is a coin of two words, humanitarian and engineering. Engineers provide solutions. Humanitarian drives the needs. So basically, the field of humanitarian engineering is all about providing relevant technological innovations to solve universal challenges. And why it is important? Because the intersection of technology, community, and the larger community and policy brings in a lot of avenues for engineers. COP28 is happening here, so it's also important, right? They are bringing together policymakers, engineers, and the communities at large. Why? Because without the engineers, you can't provide the solutions. And the communities drive the needs, and the policymakers provide the framework or the governance to make sure the solution is operable and it's provide an inclusive environment for everyone. So that is why it's a very, very interesting and amazing field. And IEEE has been investing a lot on this area. We'll talk about that. But primarily, let's first talk about why you all should be worrying about. We are all AI experts. Why we should be worrying about it, right? Let's look at the scale of the problem, how significant these problems are, right? Nearly 1 billion people don't have access. 4 billion people don't have access to internet, right? Nearly about 700 million people still, live in extreme poverty. This is a data from UN before the pandemic. I'm pretty sure many of these situations have gone even bad by 2x time or so forth, right? And nearly 30% of the world's food is actually wasted, where you still have about 1 billion people undernourished. So the one end of the side, you are seeing we are wasting 30% of resources, where the other end, you have people who are looking to get the basic needs actually, right? So something is not right? Demand and supply, it's not matching, right? What do we do about it? That is where AI comes into play, which we'll talk shortly, right? So so as an engineer, by solving this problem, you can have a broader impact. And that is what I wanted to emphasize here, right? And second, from industry standpoint, it also contributes the economic development. So you can see here you can create a market value of $12 trillion just by solving a subset of the domain, what we're talking about here, education, healthcare, and so forth, right? So this is to give you an insight how important these problems are and why we should be talking about it right now as COP28 is happening here in Dubai. Okay, let's talk about AI, the fun part of it, right? So I think we are living in the age of AI, right? Whatever we do, pretty much AI is integrated in our life. How many of you have smartphones here? Right? How many of you use YouTube here? Okay. How many of you use Google Maps? There it goes, right? Anything you do today in the online world, right? You have a massive large-scale AI system, which is actually influencing you. It's helping you to make decisions. It's looking at the way you are interacting with the systems, and then it's actually helping you to make an informed decision, right? So for example, 50 years back or 20 years back, when people wake up, they look at the beautiful sunrise, they had a very peaceful life, right? It's very structured, right? But today, it's a very man and machines are truly integrated. For example, in US, I mean, my morning day starts with wake up call from my personal assistant, which is like a Google Home or Alexa, and then I start going for a walk. My smartwatch monitors the number of steps I am making. It's also counting my heart rate, right? And then once I come back home, the smart refrigerator gives me a recommendation to make a recipe for breakfast. Then when I turn on the TV, based on my interactions with what I have seen the previous night, Netflix or Amazon Prime, they are all giving the recommendation what to purchase or what to see, right? So truly, AI is actually integrated right now. That is what we are living in the age of AI. But with that said, there is about 50% of the earth still don't have access to clean water, access to clean energy, and whatnot. 4 billion people are not even connected to internet, right? This is not an equal battle here, right? So that is why we have to look into how AI could be used as to create transformative opportunities to actually solve some of these grander challenges. So we'll take a 360-degree about AI. I don't want to do too deep into it. I just want to give a 360-degree bird view, right? So if you talk about AI, there are core capabilities: machine learning. We're talking about voice recognition, speech recognition, natural language processing, so forth, right? So all this different methodology provides you techniques and methods to provide solutions to solve these grander challenges. For example, machine learning provides you the ability to actually handle large corpus of data, understands the insight or the correlation between the data, and help you to make informed decision. Okay, one example, right? So we have billions of users in YouTube, right? And YouTube is probably like trying to understand, to provide you a personalized experience. It's constantly looking at the way how you are, interacting, and it actually munches this data into machine learning algorithm, and then it provides the recommendations for you. That's why when you watch YouTube or Netflix, you get a set of recommendations for you, right? What next to do, right? Similarly, if you take Google Maps, another example, dynamic routing algorithms, right? You want to go from one place to the other, it's actually looking at the data trend of several phones which are connected. And then it's help you to identify the best possible route to reach your destination, right? So there are many, applications here, but again, the most advanced one, ChatGPT, many of you are excited, about ChatGPT. It is driven by, the idea of generalized artificial intelligence, where we work on large scale data summarization problems. You take a huge corpus of data and then you kind of like make it very easier for you to synthesize and refine and give a very set of defined, information to the end user. So AI has been there, it's truly integrated, and many techniques are available today. But let's look at some real world example, and then we'll quickly move on to the humanitarian integration part of it, right? So today, when you wanted to, why do we need AI, right? I mean, you have software engineers, you can actually code a specific behavior. What AI can make a huge difference is to actually create systems which can embed or imitate human intelligence, right? That's where if you think there are certain domains where it's very critical. For example, healthcare is one such domain. So we have in US, we have a huge set of hospitals, amazing set of doctors. But think about the low income countries. Think about the underdeveloped nations where we don't have, huge resources available to serve the populations at large, right? In those opportunities, AI can provide tools and offerings to reduce the burden of the medical team that can care for, the populations at large. An example, when COVID happened, right? We wanted more people on the ground to do the screening. And then we needed an easier way for the governments to actually like take the data for a specific region, synthesize the data, and tell us exactly where more interventions are needed. If I have to do this manually 25 years back, I need an army of people, right? But today, with the advent of AI, you can actually roll out a tool where you will be able to capture the vaccination records, the travel history of people, and you'll be able to recommendation to various policy makers, the local NGOs to act on it, right? So clearly, I think we have a unique opportunity here for AI. So we look into a few recent trends. Many of you, if you're not aware, now AI is going to the next level. I mean, the conversational AI technologies, for example, is providing capability for people to report their symptoms so that the systems can provide a recommendation, right? For example, chronic health management. If you have diabetes, we have AI systems which can, talk to you and observe what you ate that day, and it can make recommendations to you. You can even set up appointments with the doctors. It can actually remind you. So truly, I think the healthcare is one specific domain where AI can make a huge impact, given its potential and the kind of research that's happening now, right? Now, let's also talk about the core sustainable development areas, right? I mean, earlier in the slides, I spoke about SDGs. We touched upon the poverty. We also highlighted quality education is also another key area. So today, there are many AI platforms which actually look at providing personalized training skill development. This is again a big area for UN. UN wants to actually promote equity, equitable access to information. It also wanted to promote gender equality. I mean, you can only do that by providing a holistic development of the digital divide. I mean, by addressing the digital divide, right? So that means you need to create digital environment which promotes inclusivity and fairness. And that's also where AI comes into a play, important role. And most importantly, I think, IoT, Internet of Things, plays a big role. Today, we'll see some sample example projects right now. But when you compare AI with IoT, it is like, what called out earlier, you were connecting the mind and the body, right? You are connecting the perceptors with the actors, right? So that means you have a lot more application which could help you to, improve your yield, especially in the agriculture field, right? So this is another important area there. So with all this thing, right, let's summarize, right, quickly, right? So why AI is powerful is that today, in the current century or the next 100 years, I would say data is the oil, is the new oil. When you have the data, you can actually mine the data, you can process the data, you can come back with powerful decision making. But what is really needed is that we need to have controls or mechanisms in place, without which I think AI could also be misused actually. In other words, AI's impact could have more negative impact more than the positive impact, right? For example, one end, we are talking about using AI to say for finding potential candidates for filling a job role, right? Of course, AI could simplify it, right? It can take all the resumes, it can scan through, it can model, it can provide a list of good candidates to you. But then think about the situation where it is trying to make the best of the best to compete. But what about the people who don't even have access or resources to these technologies, right? It is still going to aggravate the situation. So we'll talk about those things in the next few slides. But again, here, the call out here is that, the application of AI into humanitarian space is very relevant, given, the humanitarian space provides a very interesting opportunity to engage, the engineers at the grassroots level, so they could drive innovations based on the needs of the local community. And again, this projects provides a better understanding of engineers and its roles in addressing societal needs. And it also helps to publicize the engineering and education as an attractive career path for, young students. Here is a quick summary of some of the prominent AI technologies on the left side, highlighted by the green. And then on the right side, some unique area where we could increasingly, AI is being developed or advancements are being made. Computer vision, machine learning, robotics, speech recognition, NLP. And then you can also see on the right side, disaster response, digital healthcare, refugees, right? I mean, using satellite images to understand, especially at the time of crisis, how do you help people, elderly care, that's another big area. Many people talk about using AI for practical application, but elderly care is another important area. Many of the nations are facing this challenge. So again, mapping a vulnerable community. So to do all this, technological innovation across the broad spectrum of AI, you need to have good data sets, you need to have good infrastructure, right? And then, of course, you need to measure the performance of your systems. That means you need to have good metrics. And most importantly, that technology, what you're developing, has to be easily accessible and it has to be affordable. So with that brief note, what we will do is we'll now start a little bit deep dive into how AI is impacting SDGs. We'll talk about it, right? There's a very interesting research that was recently done a couple of years back. So what they did was they actually took the 17 SDG goals, and if you look at the 17 SDG goals, there are 3 dimensions to it. One is the societal dimension, how the SDGs are impacting the society, right? Second, the economic dimension, how by solving the SDGs, we can create more job opportunity, right? The third one is the environment, the climate actions, the sustainability piece of it. So if you look through it, right, AI actually provides a very data-driven approach to make progress in improving the targets to achieve SDG. At the same time, it also help you to see that whether or we are on track for meet these goals by 2030, right? But the important call out here is that while AI is a good tool, it is also a bad master if you don't have controls, if you don't have privacy regulations, if you don't have governance in place, right? So that is why it's very important that we need regulatory insight and oversight for any AI-based technologies, basically. So let's take here, as I was calling out earlier, 3 pillars: the society, the economy, and the environment. And then let's talk about how they are interconnected here, right? So maybe I'll go to this diagram and maybe I'll come back here. So this is again a very interesting research that divides the SDGs or groups the SDGs based on these 3 pillars: society, environment, and economy. So what they have done is they have actually solicited the inputs from researchers throughout the world to see how the research is contributing to SDG, and they try to map it actually, right? So you can see here, certain areas, by using AI tools, we can see like really great progress. Example, SDG 1, zero, no poverty, right? And no poverty is true, like employing AI tools for education, especially in industry for hiring and so forth. Then you can see for SDG 2, the zero hunger, about 75%, you can see that the tools help us to see how best we could improve on agriculture yields. How do we secure, food securities by using IoTs and so forth, So the bottom line here is, by having AI across these various domains, you can actually help to solve the larger problem and then positively can solve the SDGs, right? So for example, you can foster circular economies and build smart cities that efficiently use their resources. I'm pretty confident the hotel where we are right now, many of the rooms have smart sensors, right? So that means it's looking at the room temperature, it's actually adjusting the workload, what you're introducing on your grid, actually, electrical grid, right? That's one way to reduce the carbon footprint, right? Second, it also helps us to integrate smart applications. Gone are the days where systems, act in solo. Now you have your iPhone, from sitting from here, I can actually access my smart system in US, So now it is the time of where mission talks with each other, and it leverages AIs to make an informed learning, right? And then, but what is the caveat here? The caveat here is that many of these applications also comes with a cost. The cost is that it requires a huge computing cost, and, so to reduce the footprints. So again, there are many negatives of AI as well. If your data sets are not cleaned up properly, or if it has inherent bias, it's going to exacerbate the situation. For example, if you train an AI model to pick candidate purely on a data set of male candidates, then when you provide the female candidates, it's not going to involve those candidates in the decision making. So it's quite important we consider the negative aspect of AI as well. So that is where the responsibility of AI comes into, what we call it as responsible AI. So here you can see we wanted to enforce standards and best practices. So some ways you can do that is to make sure you eliminate the bias in your data sets, the training sets, and make sure you also look into the emerging needs. Once you train a model, the user behavior is changing. You want to make sure your product innovations are accounting for it. And then you also want to safeguard the user information. Having measures like encryption at rest and transmit, it's all going to be key here, right? Most importantly, any product you work on, any solution as an engineer or develop, you have to work backwards from the needs of the end user, right? That is what this slide is all about. You can see here, somebody wanted to build, an interesting solution here, but then look at the way they have understood it, right? So anytime you want to build a solution as an engineer, you want to look at who is the targeted audience. What is the most significant problems what they are facing? What is the most important value we can deliver? And how do you know about it? And what is the experience, right? So this constitute what we call it in the industry as working backwards, approach. So again, these are some key highlights here, but then, I just wanted to go and give a quick call out about HTB here, the Humanitarian Technology Board, what we are offering. So IEEE today offers an interesting program called as Humanitarian Technology Board. I have with me here Lavanga and Mariela. So we'll be giving a workshop tomorrow. So what I would like to give you here is that we provide an opportunity for the innovators to apply your skill set to provide solutions relevant to a local community. And we provide up to $10,000 per project, right? That's why we said Santa is here, So we will share more details on this program tomorrow. But the key call out is that if you are an AI innovator, that you know that you can develop algorithms or solutions to solve some of the challenges for your local community, you should take a look into the Humanitarian Technology Board offerings. Because we offer a plenty of opportunities for you to connect with the local community, understand their needs. So these are the 6 major programs which many of you may be aware within IEEE. If not, tomorrow we have a workshop. We'll go in detail to it. But the call out here is that, IEEE's mission is advancing technology for humanity. And IEEE HTB offers that opportunity that is complementary to whatever you are getting from TIMS and major society, where irrespective of your technical background, you can come together if you have a passion to serve the humanity at large by applying your skill set to a larger good. Again, there are 4 broader areas where our programs are centered. We want to provide awareness, which is what we are doing it today, and also the workshop tomorrow. We also provide you training so that you know how to work on these projects. And the third one is we provide up to $10,000 per project, if you want to start on a project, And finally, we wanted to make IEEE a world leader in the sustainable development space. And that's where, we have a huge partnership there, And one example here is with the TIMS, actually. That's why we are here today. So there are many benefits. I'm not going to go into depth here, but the call out here is that STB programs provide you an opportunity to address at the grassroots level, chapter level, section level, society level. We provide a win-win model. We provide educational offering, joint funded programs with the societies. So we could benefit the society members, and the kind of projects. And of course, our popular program is Site here, Feet on the Ground initiative. It brings IEEE member to work with the local community, and they can develop solutions collectively here. So these are the core 6 benefits for an individual. You get not only training, professional development, you are contributing to a greater cost, project funding, and whatnot. You are connecting to a network of engineers. So I'm not going to go into depth here, but 2 examples I wanted to call out where AI played a critical role by the projects done by the students. This is a project done in India where the students actually developed an AI-based model to auto-irrigate the local farmlands, which actually has empowered the local farmers, and it has reduced the migration. So look at the capability how AI could be leveraged to solve a problem which is relevant to the local community. And then again, and another example here is, sensing during COVID time, sensing the temperature, monitoring the temperature to IoT measures, and having a machine learning model to make a prediction whether somebody has a symptoms or not. Another example how machine learning models could be, leveraged. And last but not the least, this is from Peru, another interesting project where they collected data about, created a analytics platform to collect the data about the trends and then make recommendations to the doctors and to this one. So needless to say, HTB, which previously called the HAC, won the Global Development Award in 2022, for the impact. So with that brief note, I think the call out here is, there are many resources here. Again, please join the, workshop tomorrow, where we will show you how you could apply for these funds, how you could be involved in this activity. So Mariela, myself, and Lavanga look forward to meeting you all. And I would like to thank again the TIMS leadership team, especially Ravi, Mohammed, Dr. Mohammed Abood, and the entire leadership team of the global conference on AI and IoT for giving us the opportunity to join you all here and interconnect AI with the SDGs at large. So we look forward interacting with you, and thank you again for the opportunity. mentioned and saying that the government will control the data. Yes. Go for it. No, complete your question because I. Most of the country don't trust the government. Yeah, I mean, the government is made by the people, whether we like it or not. But I think what I was trying to call out there is, if you don't have a control, for example, right, what do we call it as nudging, knowledge nudging, right? Prompting you to give a response and manipulate you online, right? For example, if you are in YouTube, or let's make an hypothetical platform. If I don't have governance controls, how AI should be involved in, how the data has to be handled, the risk is that I can actually control your behavior using a trained model. Electoral nudging is an example. So again, right, absolutely right. So that's what I said, right? You can use engineering for a good cause. You can use engineering for a negative cause. It depends on it, right? But what we all as an engineer have to make sure is the majority is invested on a good cause. And then we have measures to prevent situations where it could be misled. That is why we have GDPR, privacy controls, right? Measures to secure your data. If you don't have, what happens? Your data could be exploited. So the point is that any engineering solution, you do it, you have to do a risk management, both from the standpoint of the technology, its impact, its measure, and governance in place. Entities are biased. Companies are biased, Facebook are biased, policy are biased, government are biased. But we should have an independent power that controls it. It's good, but also it's tricky, right? Like, see, if UN is surviving, I mean, take COP28 as an example. If climate action is a major thing, right? You expect everybody to come on board, but it's not so, because there's contextual to it, right? So we cannot really have a one size fit all. It's like saying, I'm going to take one shirt, it's going to fit everyone, right? But we have to have a measure to make sure that we can support a holistic development by considering the contextualization of it. But I hear you out. What you're saying is everybody have a bias towards whether it's product innovation or government, of course, right? But by having universal control by this governance, you try to reduce those bias. Can we be at 100%? Absolutely not. But it's a work in progress. That is what I think one of the big challenges of AI, right? While it has massive impact and potential, how do you make sure it actually can provide an inclusive development across the board? Yes, sir.
I just want to give an example. Like sometimes it's good, as I said, walking the talk. You see, there is a SDG number 1, low poverty, other SDGs. In Dubai, we have an initiative called International Global Initiatives. What do you mean by global initiatives? I think this should be most of the developed countries should take this into consideration, not giving the poor countries money, but enabling the economy. So what it does, these initiatives, they're looking for poor communities around the world. They're building schools. They're giving them books. They're training the teachers. So they are trying to eradicate illiteracy. That's one. So it's education. Number 2, without health and education, there's no way the economy could go ahead and be developed. So they are building hospitals. So now you build the schools, you educate people, you eradicate diseases. What is it you need to do to make you, the poor community, become sustainable economically speaking? And they even put $1 billion a fund to support all those who have ideas. So they incubate the ideas and at the end they help them to become products. So in a sense, they're trying to create startups try to create companies that will make the society, the poor society, first of all, no poor society. Secondly, economically sustainable and peaceful. Why do others do it? The others they help, but helping once is not enough. We need to do it every year. But Hamid Kumash is doing no, do 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and then they will be independent. So what is your thought on this?
Amazing, amazing, great work, right? I mean, that's also what I called out earlier, right? Creating grassroots innovation is important, right? How do you solve these universal challenges? You cannot bring in a law or a solution and say one size fit all. You need to provide opportunities at a grassroots level to connect a network of local engineers to come together collectively, work with the communities and the governments and the policymakers to provide solutions which are relevant. By doing so, what happens? The local communities sees advancements, right? The marginalized population will see both social development and economic development. So when the city improves, naturally the state improves. When the state improves, the country improves. When the country improves, the continent improves, and holistically you should impact the humanity at large, right? But then it has to start at the grassroots level. That is why the program, what we touched upon, like HTB, right? SITE, right? The idea there is we are living in an era where we look for personalization in what we do. And this is also a field of personalization because you are contextualizing the field of sustainable innovation. And you need to work on problems which are critical. I'm very thrilled to hear that already it's been done in Dubai. Maybe the other next step I would say here is sharing the best practices. How do you empower other countries, right? How do we transform the infrastructure? How do you design programs which is 80% portable and 20% customizable? Because the 20% customizable is important because you need to get into the cultural aspect, the other contexts, the local regulations in place and roll out. So I think, coming back to answer your question, I think what you said is a classical example of an humanitarian engineering program. And also it has to be sustained by product innovation. As you rightly said, you don't want to do it one-off project and disappear. Rather, you need to have a pipeline of innovators who can actually work on a project, and then they kind of become an entrepreneur, and then they kind of develop solutions which can drive the local market value for them. So I think this is an amazing model.
You say, do it in the fish, teach them how to
fishing. Absolutely, absolutely. Awesome. So I'm going to be around. Happy to take more questions, but this has been a pleasure interacting with you all. Thank you.